In the quiet hours before dawn, when the world still holds its breath, there is a moment when nature begins to speak again. The wind moves softly through the branches, the earth releases a faint scent of rain, and somewhere in the distance, a single bird dares to sing. Few people ever witness this moment, because it comes after something powerful has passed and left silence behind. Long ago, forests were not just collections of trees. They were living worlds where every leaf, every root, and every creature formed an invisible network of life. In those forests, animals followed ancient rhythms. Koalas slept among eucalyptus branches, deer wandered across open clearings, foxes listened for subtle sounds beneath the grass, and owls watched the night from high branches. Each day felt eternal, and every season carried its own gentle story. But one night, the rhythm changed. A warm wind began to move faster than usual. The air felt different, heavier, as if the forest itself sensed something approaching. Animals became restless. Birds paused mid-flight. Small creatures hid deeper underground. Even the trees seemed to whisper warnings through their trembling leaves. Then, silence returned. When the morning finally arrived, the forest was no longer the same. The familiar paths had vanished, the tall trees stood quiet and still, and the world seemed larger and emptier than before. Yet, beneath the ashes of yesterday, something remarkable remained: life. This is not a story about loss. It is a story about survival, courage, and the quiet strength of nature. It is a journey into the hidden world of animals who refused to disappear, who adapted, waited, and slowly rebuilt their lives in a changed landscape. From the shy koala searching for new branches to the fox exploring unfamiliar ground, from birds returning to the sky to tiny insects awakening beneath the soil, every creature carries a secret lesson about resilience. Tonight, we will follow their footsteps and listen to their silent voices. We will discover how nature heals itself, how animals find hope in unexpected places, and how even the smallest heartbeat can shape the future of a forest. Before we begin, if you enjoy calm stories about nature, wildlife, and hidden worlds, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us continue sharing peaceful stories that inspire imagination and bring comfort to your nights. Now, let us step quietly into the forest after the fire, where every shadow tells a story and every sound carries the promise of new life. When the first light touched the ground, the forest looked unfamiliar even to those who had lived there for generations. The air felt lighter, and the usual chorus of birds had not yet returned. For a moment, it seemed as if the world had forgotten how to breathe. But somewhere among the silent trees, a small movement broke the stillness. High in the branches of a surviving eucalyptus tree, a koala slowly opened its eyes. It had remained hidden for hours, clinging tightly to the trunk while the world below changed. Now, it looked around with careful curiosity. The familiar scent of leaves was weaker, and the landscape had transformed into something both frightening and strangely new. With slow, deliberate steps, the koala began its journey, searching for fresh leaves and safe branches, guided not by fear but by instinct. On the ground below, a fox emerged from its underground shelter. Its ears twitched as it listened to the quiet forest, testing whether it was safe to move. Unlike many creatures, the fox did not wait for the world to return to its old shape. It understood that survival meant adaptation. With graceful steps, it explored the open terrain, discovering new paths where dense bushes had once stood. The forest had changed, but the fox had changed with it. Far away, in a rocky valley, a group of kangaroos stood at the edge of the forest, watching from a distance. They had traveled far when the air began to feel strange, guided by their sharp senses and ancient memory. Now, they hesitated, unsure whether it was time to return. Slowly, one kangaroo stepped forward, then another, until the group began to move together. They did not rush. They understood that the forest needed time to heal, just as they did. Above them, the sky told a different story. Birds that had flown away days before began to circle the area again. From high above, the land looked quieter, but not lifeless. The open spaces made it easier to see movement below, and soon, the first bird landed on a charred branch. Its song was soft, almost uncertain, but it marked the beginning of something new. Beneath the soil, unseen by eyes above, thousands of tiny creatures were already at work. Insects crawled through warm earth, breaking down old wood and turning it into nutrients. Seeds hidden in the ground began to awaken, responding to subtle changes in temperature and light. Nature, it seemed, had prepared for this moment long before it happened. Days passed, and the forest slowly learned how to exist again. Animals met unfamiliar neighbors, crossed new territories, and discovered new sources of food. Some creatures struggled at first, while others adapted quickly. Yet, none of them gave up. Each step forward, no matter how small, became part of a larger transformation. One evening, as the sun painted the sky with soft shades of gold and violet, the forest felt different again. The silence had changed. It was no longer empty, but full of quiet movement. The koala rested on a young branch that had sprouted after the fire. The fox watched the horizon from a rock, alert but calm. Birds gathered in the trees, their songs weaving together into a gentle melody. In that moment, the forest understood something important. It would never be exactly the same as before, but it did not need to be. Change was not the end of life. Sometimes, it was the beginning of a deeper, stronger kind of existence. And so, while humans far away might see only a transformed landscape, the animals saw something else entirely. They saw opportunity, renewal, and the chance to write a new story on the land they called home. As seasons quietly turned, the forest continued its slow journey toward renewal. Rain arrived in gentle waves, touching the soil with patience rather than urgency. From the ground, small green shoots began to rise, timid at first, then increasingly confident. Every new leaf became a promise, and every drop of water carried hope. Animals adapted to this evolving world in their own ways. The koala discovered young trees that offered fresh nourishment, and its days gradually regained a familiar rhythm. The fox learned the new layout of the land, moving gracefully through open spaces that once felt strange but now felt like home. Kangaroos returned more frequently, grazing on tender grass that spread across the recovering fields. Birds built nests in unexpected places, transforming charred branches into shelters filled with life. What once seemed like an ending slowly revealed itself as a transition. The forest did not forget its past, but it did not remain trapped by it either. Instead, it transformed memory into movement and silence into sound. With every sunrise, the air became richer with whispers of wings, rustling leaves, and distant footsteps. Nature has a quiet way of teaching lessons. It does not speak loudly, nor does it demand attention. Yet, those who listen carefully can hear its message: life is resilient, change is inevitable, and even after the deepest stillness, something new can emerge. In the evenings, when the light softened and shadows stretched across the land, the forest felt peaceful again. The animals no longer moved with hesitation but with quiet confidence. They had learned that survival was not only about escaping danger but also about embracing transformation. Somewhere in the forest, a young bird practiced its first song. Nearby, an insect traced delicate patterns across the bark of a tree. Under the stars, the fox paused to look at the sky, while the koala rested in the branches above. Each creature, in its own way, carried the story of survival forward. And so, the forest continued to breathe, slowly and steadily, reminding the world that life does not disappear, it changes, adapts, and finds new ways to exist. Thank you for spending this quiet journey with us. If you enjoyed this story, do not forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more calming tales of nature and hidden worlds. Now, let the gentle sounds of the night surround you. May your thoughts become lighter, your mind calmer, and your dreams softer. Good night, and sleep well.